Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Give me the meat, and give it to me raw.
What's the matter? Take yourself a great big bite of meat. Taste the pleasure of the highest quality pork around.
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f yourself. But go f yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob.
But we're told that we don't like any of this because we're misogynists. We just don't like this stuff because we're women. And the only reason we're unhappy about the Ray movie coming out, because, guys, did you hear the Ray movie was canceled and uncanceled? Did you hear that?
Ray, you heard that too, right?
I did hear it.
Wait,
I did hear it.
What did I do?
You said because we're women.
We hate it because we're women.
Okay. I said it. All right. Yeah, I see. Now Ariel just arrived, and she's going to make sure that I remember that.
Yes, we didn't want it to come out like this, but Adam is in fact trans. He's coming out of the closet. Him and Jeremy are in a relationship. It's time.
It's still there. It's still there.
I didn't say that.
No, you can still have it, but still identify as a woman.
And then Monday
You let it happen, Adam. You let the reach around happen.
I
don't know why I put that analogy out. It's just
I'm trying to get around that one and looking at the time so I can come back and clip it later.
We want to enjoy what we're looking at. We don't want sores and fat whores.
Liar! No.
Let me be as clear as I can. Ain't no colors in Scandinavia.
game over, man. It's game over.
Never a dull moment. Welcome, my friends, to another round table where we take a gander, we discuss, we break down the week's events, and we try to make it a little more interesting for you, as per the fact that we're a Sunday show and we're usually a little behind. So we try to give your takes, and we welcome you all to another day. And it's Super Bowl Sunday. For those of you who are excited for it, have a good time. I personally don't give a shit, but hey, I divorced myself from sports ball years ago. But go enjoy yourself. But until then, right now, sit back and enjoy our nerd discussions. I am Adam the Renaissance Nerd, and I'm joined by the Ginger Jesus, the man, the myth, the pale legend, Jed, the Hollywood Scholar. Jed, how are you?
I'm good. I'm back. It's been several weeks since I was on the round table, and it's depressing, honestly. I have no meaning in my life outside of the round table and this crew of knights with me. So it was just a very depressing week last week when
you didn't have
join us.
Tons of fun at MegaCon.
No,
hanging out with cool people and shaking hands with Gina Carano and getting your picture taken with Alex Kingston. You didn't do anything cool like that.
No, definitely didn't meet Alex Kingston. I did not actually meet Gina. That one's true. I didn't get a chance to meet Gina, but I did meet Alex Kingston, which was pretty cool, to be fair. Yeah. But it is great to be back regardless with all you fine people.
Would it make you happy to know that when I showed that picture to Jeremy, he flipped out and got all angry?
Oh, he started hate texting me right afterwards.
Oh, he did? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I got tons of messages. I'm like, I hate you right now. And I played it coy, like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I just made him say it over and over. And then every couple days, I just send him the photo again.
See, what happened was he was supposed to be here last week to help sub, to help pinch hit. But because he kept shitting himself after his nut challenge, he slipped through most of Sunday and only woke up for Get Ranked later that night. And so I had it prepared for Roundtable. So then it wasn't until Get Ranked when we were talking science fiction shows, and we landed on Doctor Who. And because I was coming off the bench a little bit for the show, and I said, "Hey, Dermy, so Jed went to MegaCon. And did he show you this? He goes, what? I said, oh, and I brought it up, and he just went, and he got all angry, and it just made my day because it was the exact reaction I hoped for, a hissy fit.
I'm gonna send it to him again right now.
He's not awake. He's asleep. He was up till 5-6 a.m. drunk playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. Well, listen, it's kind of our fault too because I popped in one there at one point and I derailed the conversation, just not intentionally. I was providing a bit of information, and then we got on a whole nother topic, rehashing shit that we're actually going to talk about today as a real discussion. So then he just kept playing, and I think and Shock was there, and a couple of people there, and they just kept talking to him and delaying him. He kept pausing for discussion, but he's also drunk, like 12 beers drunk, I think, or something like that. But either way. So we're glad to have you back. We hope you have a good chance, MegaCon. We're going to give you a chance to catch up from something from last week that I know you really want to talk about, and we did talk about briefly, so it's only fair we give you a chance. A man who always has a chance to make a splash, though. Dre, how you doing this week?
I'm doing okay. I've had a decent week. I had a bit of a meltdown on Wednesday.
Yes. Yes.
but-
We are going to – that's part of – everything we're going to talk about here.
Yeah, but other than that, I've had a decent week. I can't complain. Yeah, I'm having a good day. I'm going to a Super Bowl party later on tonight. There's
Nice.
a lot of good stuff. A lot of good stuff today. So
Yeah,
I'm feeling good.
It's one of those weird days of the year where, I mean, fortunately, we're going to slip in right before Super Bowl stuff happens. We'll be done right before, but then afterwards, if you do anything on Sunday evenings as a YouTuber, it's destroyed. Now, I might still stream a game tonight just because there are those of us who won't have anything to do. Devil's not doing Get Ranked tonight, so therefore there's nothing going on in our little section. So I might do something just that. I haven't decided completely
Wait,
yet.
the Super Bowl's today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Super Bowl
You-
today.
Yeah, see, Jed doesn't
Now
care.
that Jed knows, now let's move on with
Jed
our lives.
doesn't care either. That's the glory of it. And that's the glory of it. We care, we don't care. Dragon Lady, do you care about the Super Bowl? You're in England.
Nope. I'm a Brit. We don't care about it over here. And it's usually on quite late at night anyway. It's silly o'clock in the morning. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't care.
Yep. Yeah. How are you doing?
Very good point.
I'm doing all right. I was finally, after 20 years of trying to get it on DVD, I finally on Friday watched the 1994 version of Little Women.
Is that's the one with the Winona Ryder, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I really enjoyed it. I swear that had nothing to do with Christian Bale being in it, honest. And
Well, he was
that,
in that? Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
and I was cross-stitching at the same time, and unfortunately, every time he kept going on, I nearly kept accidentally stabbing myself with a needle. Thanks for the distraction.
Needlework, not for the faint of fingered, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, right.
Oh, I was going to say, it was quite a bit of a
Sorry, I
shock.
thought we were done. Sorry.
It was a bit of a shock seeing him smiling and laughing for a change, really.
Oh, well, yeah, that's not exactly Christian Bale's shtick these days, is it?
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So, we've got an interesting show for you guys today. It was a strange week. We didn't know that Gina Carano suing Disney and Lucasfilm was gonna kick off what turned out to be a weird and I would say bad week for Disney again. We're gonna do
when
our
was the
best.
last time they had a good week?
Never in the past 4 years. I mean, now the stands would claim that we're winning. Oh, we're eating Star Wars. MCU, whatever. They're mental midget troglodytes on next Twitter. We
Say
don't really
Endgame. We'll give them Endgame as the last big
But-
win.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, because you can't
Yeah,
count
that
No
was
Way
5
Home.
years ago.
Nope.
That was Sony. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
And everything else since then has been a failure, complete and total failure. We're gonna remark on these failures because they're gonna come up today as we give you our take and discussion on Disney's Weird Week. Because as per which is our Sunday privilege, even though these things have been discussed, they've now coalesced into one giant story that we can give you an overview of. We're gonna do that. Then I want to talk gaming. I know sometimes we do talk gaming here because as I've mentioned earlier, the start of this year, one of the things I want to try and do more often on the show here is do discussions. Have a discussion about a theme or a topic that we've seen in the week or it has revealed itself. And I want to talk about that. So we're going to talk about gaming in terms of who's winning and losing at this point, as well as what's going to happen with Microsoft. So Sony has definitively, the numbers are out. The PS5 has beaten the Xbox. Switch is its own weird thing, so it's not even part of the conversation. We're talking Sony and Microsoft. And the rumors are now, and the evidence is kind of there. It's not fact, but there is evidence we can look at that Microsoft is looking to fold Xbox production, that they're going to go full game production. It's just going to make games.
They're going Sega.
Software. Yeah, Sega.
Yeah.
Excellent comparison, Drake, because you and I are old men. We were there. And I especially, that is a special point too, because then I want to, we're going to give our Dre and I are going to give our old man perspectives on this, and then leading into the other thing, which both old man and youngin perspective is required in terms of, and we mentioned Final Fantasy VII with Dermot's playing, and that's kind of the catalyst for a certain discussion that I've been having since about Tuesday, Wednesday this week, personally on this channel and on other streams. What is a red flag? What is a legitimate red flag in anything? I mean, we've been talking about red flags for a lot of things lately coming up, especially Avatar is our biggest example lately. We walk the line sometimes in terms of saying looks bad, we're warning you, and then saying this isn't a big deal, and we walk the line of hypocrisy, and that's where I want to go. And we'll use FF7 as the catalyst, and then we'll open it up. And then at the same time, I want to bring in something I talked about on Wednesday, and I've talked about on several other streams this week, the overcorrection from the pendulum swinging back to a more normal behavior when it comes to entertainment creation. But for lack of a better term, a more conservative approach, not the far left Marxist approach. And while they have held the pendulum in place for so long, as it swings back violently to the other side, fear the overcorrection. I was never sold on overcorrection that much until this week. And now I worry about the overcorrection. So I want to bring that to you guys. I've said my piece a lot this week, so I'll be very brief. I really want to hear what you guys have to say and think about that. And then what are the options? Policing ourselves, trying to keep it in the actual regular swaying where the pendulum goes back and forth in the middle, not too far to either side. But we'll get to that. So let's get started. But first, though, let's say hello and howdy to the chat, and then we'll get started with Jed's chance to give his thoughts on something from last week. So hail and howdy, Legatus Legion. That's one of my mods, one of my regulars, here to keep the peace, be my personal troll, and keep me honest, even though a death is a death. No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
Hasn't that been like a year since that debate?
Yeah, but I'm never going to let that go. And every time I play a game where I am going to die, he's going to bring it back up. So I'm just certain, because we're about to start gaming again a lot on the channel. So I need to make sure that a death is not a death. Sometimes the game screws you over. I'm not going to do a Dermy and say hi to Dragon Lady, because I've already said hi to Dragon Lady. She's right here in the panel. I'm not going to say hi to somebody who's in the panel in the chat. I'm not doing that. Dermy's a retard. Hail, son of Joxer. Huzzah, back to you, my friend. Good afternoon, Kale. How are you? Hail to you, Ruben X. Going on down. Hello there. Hello there. Hussein. That's a good one. What we're going to talk about. And hail and howdy to everybody else not chatting, just hanging out. We appreciate you. Hit that like button, and we hope you enjoy the rest of the show, whether you're watching live now or on the replay. Okay. Last week, we just touched on the fact, as part of a conversation, that Hollywood is facing this. And hail to you, Jay Fraser 360. I see you right there. Last week we were talking about how Hollywood has nothing coming. It's failing. And it has started this year with fail after fail after fail after fail after fail. And the latest fail last week was the what we saw it was going to be a bait and switch. We knew it from the trailers because we realized that it was not going to be a Henry Cavill vehicle, Argyle. And we looked at it last week when it made only $35 million worldwide on a $200 million budget. Set up for failure, not going to win. The shill media tried to spin it. Oh, another Henry Cavill failure. Fake news, false narrative. It was not his movie. Jed has seen it. He suffered it. It is not a Henry Cavill movie, Jed.
Oh, no, it is not a Henry Cavill movie whatsoever. It is a Bryce Dallas Howard movie, and that's where a lot of the problems come from. When Henry Cavill is in it, he's clearly having a good time. He's clearly enjoying his performance and his co-stars and everything he's got to do, because his stuff from the trailers, his scenes take place in a sub-universe, in the book universe, rather than in the universe that the most of the movie takes place in. So it's hyper reality. It's over the top. It's supposed to be cheesy action star type movie stuff. It's intentionally really bad in the Henry Cavill scenes, and he's enjoying every minute of those. So those parts are great, but I think Argyle overall was far more disappointing to me and pissed me off more than a lot of the other failures that I've seen in recent years, because there was so much potential for success in this film. A lot of great ideas, a lot of great cast members, and it's Matthew Vaughn. I've enjoyed most of the movies I've seen him direct, especially The Kingsman, and there are some related spoilers to his other franchises that we can't get into if you guys want, or if you want to avoid spoilers, we can do that. That's up to everyone.
We don't care. We don't care. We spoiled the hell of it last week. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So this movie, for the first hour, was fine. It was kind of a dumb, fun action deal. It wasn't meant to be taken seriously, so you didn't take it seriously. It was whatever for the first half. Enjoyable action, forgettable though. But about the halfway mark, they seem to have a new rule in place. We need a twist every 5 minutes, no matter if it makes sense or not. And that's what happened. It was twist contradicting everything, twist that contradicts everything, and it was just so over the top, and it seemed intentional. It's one of those parody movies. The movie that I compared it most to was Knives Out 2. For those of you who've seen it, at the end of the film, they say this whole thing was stupid and didn't make sense, that's why it's smart. That's what I got out of this movie, is we made it so bad on purpose, so that makes it okay that it's terrible, right? No, that did not forgive it, because the consistency was not in place. So do you guys know who the real Argyle is?
Yeah, it was Bryce Dallas Howard.
Yes, because her name was Kyle. Rachel Kyle.
That was her name?
So she was a member of the bad guys, but not a member of the bad guys, but a member of the bad guys. They didn't even make up their mind at the end. They twisted it so many times that in the movie didn't even know. But yeah, like in a military file, they do first initial. So her name was Argyle.
It's so clever.
It was so clever. But the suspension of disbelief was out the window as soon as that happened, because up to that point, most of the hyper-reality stuff was taking place just in the books, just in the scenes with Henry Cavill. But all of a sudden, she stabs her boots with knives and makes them into ice skates, that she ice skates around spilled crude oil while knife fighting 20 dudes in a dress that woman's gut had no business fitting into. That was the scene in the movie.
She's thick now, and not in a good way.
No, the movie was nonsensical, and the exposition was wild. There's a character in the books who we find out was actually a real character played by the same actor for whatever reason, who we thought died at the beginning. Then throughout the film, there was hints that, maybe she got shot in the heart right through this tiny, tiny hole in the heart. And we figured that out because a fan put in a theory about that tiny, tiny hole. And so as soon as Rachel gets her memories back, Dallas Bryce Howard, being the super secret spy, hasn't fired a gun in 5 years, decides, I'm going to shoot Sam Rockwell in the chest, in the heart, while he's captured, and everyone's going to think he's dead, but I'm just that good that I'm going to shoot him in that little hole in his heart. That's okay. And it's all set up for the end when that chick, who they thought died at the beginning, comes back and hits the villain on the back of the head, knocks her out. And as soon as you see her, you're like, all right, she was the fan. All right, she did get shot through the heart in that little area at the beginning. All right, we figured it out. The audience was smart enough to figure out that's how she was still alive. We didn't need any exposition. Then they, in the middle of getting ready to blow up this evil base, they just stand there for a few minutes like, oh my God, how are you alive? I was the fan who sent you that theory about this special valve in your heart with the 2-inch gap. And it was just awful exposition. But one of the worst things in the film was the end credit scene. Have you guys heard about the end credit scene?
I didn't know there was one.
Doesn't it connect to Kingsman?
Yes. It shows young Henry Cavill's Argyle going to a Kingsman bar and getting recruited by the Kingsman. So the Kingsman universe exists in the book universe, but because Argyle,
she's recruited to the Kingsman.
Right. So she's a member of the Kingsman. So the Kingsman exists both in the book universe and in the normal universe of the film. And that just destroys so much.
I've seen the article saying, oh my God, there's going to be spin-off movies. It's going to be so great. Shared universe. That is the false narrative, fake news that they're trying to push, that this thing is even remotely got traction.
Oh, it's pathetic, honestly.
Yeah.
Oh, and there was another big twist at the end. There's about 50 twists, and I cannot list them all. But the end of the film, right before the credits, she's at a book conference, and throughout the film, she's the only one who sees Henry Cavill. Everyone else just sees like the Funko Pop toy that she has, like not real face. Got the hairstyle. That's what people know is the hairstyle of Argyle. And Henry Cavill, as a redneck chewing tobacco with long curly hair, stands up and he's like, I don't have any questions for you, Miss Author Lady, but I think you might have some for me. And it didn't make sense. It's like, oh yeah, Henry Cavill was a real person that she's never met, and no one knows what Argyle looks like. It doesn't know that Argyle looks like Henry Cavill. So how did this guy know that he looked like Argyle?
Because it's a book.
It makes my head hurt.
Oh, my head hurt
sympathize.
afterwards too. The movie made no sense, and it was supposed to not make sense.
No, fuck it.
But at least it beat Frankenstein in the theaters. I'm
I heard
happy
that.
about
Yeah, I
that.
saw that. Lisa
There's a
Frankenstein.
Frankenstein movie.
Lisa
There's
Frankenstein.
Yeah,
I
female
don't know
Frankenstein movie where she's the power behind the name, the scientist.
This is indicative of where we are.
Oh, yeah.
None of this shit makes sense. None of it is good. It has zero soul and zero substance. And to bring it back to previous discussions, this is why the normies are rejecting this shit now. We've given them the path, and the normies have walked down it, but they don't even need us in cases like this. They'll go to see shit like this and realize, wow, this is terrible. This is stupid. We want to see Henry Cavill do something cool, and once again, he gets fucked over. I mean, we just right now we hope and pray. I know Dre doesn't want to hear it, but we hope and pray that he gets a good thing on Highlander, and we hope and pray that he has enough control to keep his Warhammer 40K show on the road.
That's the only thing I actually have any form of confidence in is Warhammer, because that is going to be his love child, and I'm sure he's not going to do anything that would violate his love child and the fan base. So like I said before, I'm not even a fan of Warhammer at all. But I'm gonna go see the movie because I know he's gonna show some proper respect. So I think that's the only thing I have hope for. Do I have hope in Highlander? Not for one solitary second. But
I have hope in the sense that Cavill signed on because the director of John Wick sold him on it, and the director of John Wick has earned a little cred right now.
Sure.
So he's earned a little benefit of the doubt.
Yeah,
and they are looking to well, listen, we're going to bring this up later. The definition of a remake or reboot. This Highlander thing looks like to be a full reboot of everything. They're not going to just put a fresh coat of paint over what exists. They're starting from the beginning, and I don't think they're going to go crazy aliens like they did with the Quickening. We're not doing that. They're just going to give a whole new lore. They're going to rebuild the lore and start fresh. It's going to have no connection to anything else. So that's why Henry Cavill was sold on it, because it looks like it's going to be some cool. And he just started training for it a couple weeks ago. So he's in full training mode to be the Highlander. Now, is it going to be Connor? Is it going to be Duncan? We don't know. We'll find out in the next year or so, I'm sure.
And play both.
Don't say that.
Don't be like that.
Don't do that.
They're gonna do something dumb, is what I'm saying.
Don't do this.
Or have have him be Connery and have some black woman be the other guy.
Don't.
I'm sorry. It's what's gonna happen. Something dumb.
I want to have hope. I want to have hope. I do. I want to have hope. Anyway, so there's that. So we do have some. We do have hope for Henry Cavill with that. And I want to see him good sub, and I guarantee next Saturday, Jed and I are going to have a discussion about what's good, what would have been good for Henry Cavill when we talk about the next drive-in movie, which we'll announce at the end of the show. But all right, so and how much money did Argyle lose this week? What was the drop off?
So the drop off from what I saw, I can just bring it up here. Was Friday to Friday was 70%.
Good lord,
that's not good.
For Wednesday and Thursday, it didn't even crack $1 million domestically.
When your haul for the first weekend was only 35 million and you have a 70% drop, or now I guess a week to week 63% drop. Oof, woof.
This film will not even sniff at a profit. After 2 weeks, it's
No.
at 60 million.
It
Yeah,
needs
man.
$500 million to break even. It's not going to break 100 million.
This is
Oh,
in bad shape.
not at this point. No, and I'm sorry to say, but it deserves to fail. It was that dumb.
Let me ask you this. Let's just close out this discussion. Do you think this affects Matthew Vaughn's legacy going forward? Do you think this affects that? Because why did he do this?
It's his love child. This is what he wanted to make. Oh yeah, this was his baby. He's kind of at that status, not quite Christopher Nolan status, of course, but he's at the status where he's allowed to do whatever he wants. And so he was allowed to do whatever he wanted with this film, I believe. So this is pure Matthew Vaughn. And that he might be one of those directors who just needs some studio interference, some studio
or needs
oversight.
Somebody else to do it for him, and then he just directs it.
Yeah.
Not one of these directors like a Jar Jar who actually writes it, or like a Ryan Johnson who writes it. I mean, now he just moved into their category. These director writers, these guys who adapt this shit, who have no business adapting this shit.
I think a good example or a good comparison would be Zack Snyder. Great as a director, don't let him touch the script.
Yeah, that's a good one too. Because he knows how to do. He knows how to make a movie. He just can't create a movie.
Oh God, no! And this makes a lot of things come into light. If you guys remember a few weeks ago, maybe a few months ago, he said he'd be interested in making a Henry Cavill Superman about Superman Red Son.
I saw that and I said, fuck that. I don't want to see goddamn Red Son adapted. I don't want to see that. I don't care. I want to see Superman.
It's like Yahtzee Cap. We don't want to see that, and that's probably the only way that Chris Evans would come back.
Yeah, he would totally come back to shit all over that.
Yeah, and we need to see good Superman, accurate Superman before we do Elseworlds evil Superman with Henry Cavill.
I don't even think we're going to get that with James Gunn's legacy. I'm not sold on that at all.
I'm definitely not sold on it. There's just too many people in that movie.
It's an ensemble movie. It's not a Superman movie. That's a discussion for another time. We can't afford to get that sidetracked because there was no DCU news this week. This week was Disney news. It was Disney News week. It was wall-to-wall disaster. And it started with one Gina Carano revealing the middle of Tuesday. It's one of those weeks where what are we going to do? Nothing happened on Monday. I'm literally sitting here like this on Tuesday, like this, watching the real BBC, thinking, well, I couldn't get anything out before they got started. This might be a null day for me when it comes to videos. This might be it. And then lo and behold, middle of real BBC around 3 p.m. my time, Gina drops this bomb. I've read it several times. You've heard it read. We know what it says. She details the history. She details the reasons. And she makes it very clear at the very end here. I'm doing this to clear my name because Disney, Lucasfilm allowed this to happen while letting others do the same thing. But they let and even stirred the fire to be catalyst for the hate mob, the cancel mob to go after her, which included the likes of Rachel Zegler. I always like to point that out. I like to point that out and remind everybody that Rachel Zegler is a monster. Despite the fact they've tried to clean up her image, she's still a monster who pushed to cancel Gina Carano. So we had this drop. So real quickly, how do you guys feel about this? With what she's doing with this, how do you feel about its chances? How do you feel about where it's going to go? I've said my part. I think I've read the brief over pretty decently. I've looked at it. It's got the entire timeline in there, and with Elon Musk backing, Elon Musk and his bottomless pockets and his lawyers from Twitter are pushing this. I don't think they would have done this if they didn't think they had a case. So how do you guys feel about this at this moment?
So yeah, once the news had come down that she was suing Disney, first thing that came in my mind was it's about time. That's the first thing that came to my head. Because everybody and their grandmama knows she got a raw deal. Because it was discriminatory. How they fired her was discriminatory. And so I'm glad to see that she's taking it to Disney, just like everybody else is right now. Now, the part that's interesting to me is the backing of Elon Musk.
Mhm.
Elon Musk is in a freaking proxy war with Bob Iger at this point. He's in a proxy war with that dude. And in my personal opinion, I think he wants to hammer Disney as hard as he possibly can
I agree.
and make that stock drop even further and further and further. Because who was that? Dang it, what's that guy's name? PBD. I can't remember his name.
What, Nelson
Um,
Peltz?
yes. Thank you. Yeah, because he's joining in on the whole
Well, he's
shebang.
the actual vehicle of the proxy war
Yeah,
now.
exactly. And now they've got the numbers officially of how far the stock is dropping. It's like they've lost $160 billion, which is
Ooh!
unspeakable amounts of money.
Wow! Is that so? That came out of the earnings call this week.
Yeah, I haven't
Okay.
earnings score. Yeah, from 20, I can't remember the number off the top of my head. But I think it's 2021 till now. $160 billion Disney has lost in stock
Wow.
options and net worth, the whole 9 yards. $160 billion.
And it's
So-
taken this long for people. Well, we've been shouting this for years.
Yeah.
And they've been hiding these numbers. They've been fudging the books. They've been robbing Peter to pay Paul forever to try and hide this shit. But now it's out there because of the proxy war that's about to happen.
Exactly. And so when I'm seeing all this happening, and I think Elon's probably going to do a hostile takeover of Disney. And
Really? So you think that's going to happen?
That's my opinion on why he's really backing Gina Carano, because I think he's trying to bleed Disney as much as he possibly can. Because I believe that he's going to bleed that joint, make that stock worth 37 cents a piece.
They don't have money
and swoop in.
Remember, we just said that they don't have money. I'm going to come back to that in a little bit with another chapter in this week's story. So, but Jed, do you think Elon's going to actually go for it?
With the takeover, it might be too large of an endeavor at this point. I could 100% believe member of the board or just trolling or something like that. A full takeover like he did on Twitter is a much bigger feat, and Twitter, he's not done with that yet. Yeah. He still has a lot of work left to do. So I can see him laying the groundwork for it eventually, maybe trying to tie Disney's product into the Everything app that he's building with X. And I could see it down the road, but I definitely don't think a full takeover is in the next year like Twitter was. That was a very quick response deal. Yeah. So I could see him getting on the board in the next year, but a full takeover, he'd need to take some time to do that.
And Twitter's vastly smaller.
Oh, vastly, vastly.
It's a single entity as opposed to Disney and all its atrophied limbs.
There's so many different parts of it. But with the Gina Carano lawsuit, I'm in a weird position when it comes to that. Of course, 100% support Gina Carano in this. Hope it works out for her, and will support in any way that I can. And what happened to her was entirely wrong, but I don't like the idea of it necessarily. It is within a company's right to fire someone for whatever reason. We can criticize them to the point where they make the decision to don't do that in future, but I don't like the idea there being repercussions legally for firing, because it is within a company's right. And if free speech is absolute for me, so I support Gina Carano, but I don't like the idea of the government through a civil case making a decision for them.
Okay. And that's it. This is a wrongful termination suit, and that's her thing. And I mean, so before I move to the Dragon Lady, how do you feel about the whole thing?
First of all, she's definitely within her rights to sue Disney because, yes, she was unlawfully discriminated, regardless if you agree with her opinions or not. I know a couple of people who don't agree with her opinions politically, but even they also agreed that what Disney did with her was wrong. They shouldn't have fired her like that. If they had a problem with what Gina was posting, they should have PM'd her and say something like, tone down your posts or just talk to her in general, which obviously they didn't do. They humiliated her publicly, and well, we saw the results of that, and I think she has every right to be quite angry and upset with them. And I think that's a good thing that she is suing them, and hopefully maybe other people that have been wrongly discriminated by Disney should also be able to follow and sue them. And as for Elon buying Disney, well, I'd like him to buy Disney just to pay off a lot of people. That's the only reason why.
I mean, here's I'm kind of where all of you are at the same time in this. Here is the actual statement of the thing. You know, this is boilerplate, and that's where I'm going to go to the next part of this. You got to understand, it's boilerplate for her to say that, number one, preliminary and permanent injunctive relief requiring defendants to reinstate Carano to her prior position with no loss of pay or benefits. That's boilerplate for a wrongful termination suit.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean she wants to go back to Disney. The rest of this is also getting the money, and I believe, so that's why I'm halfway between you guys. I think that there is grounds for the wrongful termination based on the fact that Pedro Pascal, Mark Hamill, several others got to say their political opinions and have no repercussions, while she just put up a meme and said beep bop boop, and she got fired because people melted down. So that I feel that the grounds are there. Now, whether or not they translate to a full-on verdict in her favor, I can't say that. I feel as though the evidence is there. And I don't think Elon's lawyers would have done this if they don't think the evidence is there, if they don't think they can make a case. And these are Elon's lawyers, so they're probably the best in the fucking world, or in this country at least, because richest man in the world is going to buy the best lawyers, and it's an army. And that's the other thing. I saw the chat brought up before, and this is where I agree with Dre that, or I agree with both of you guys. I think Elon wants to get involved in the whole Disney aspect of some sort of ownership, but I don't think he can outright buy it. I think that is too much even for him. I think he's there to be a spoiler, because here's how I understand how things work. If you get enough seats on a board, or if you buy enough interest and get yourself on there, you can't outright change a company, but you can stymie shit. You can make shit difficult. You can make things not go the way they want. And you can destroy things to an extent, but you can't take over the company unless you do it like he did with Twitter and completely buy it, like a full purchase. And that's impossible with Disney.
It's just too large.
Because even though, as we're going to talk about in a bit, they don't have money, they have assets. They're not very liquid, but their assets are worldwide.
And you have to buy their debt. Their debt is insane. You take responsibility for their debt, and that alone is an astronomical feat.
Yeah.
But we haven't talked about it. His possible collaboration with Nelson Peltz.
And that's the next part of it. There was a cutoff on, I think, Monday or Tuesday this week, where you had to be able to buy stock to take part in a proxy war. So I don't know if Elon bought anything in this period of time or before. That may come to light very soon, because you have to declare that shit. But at the very least, like Dre said, this whole stunt with Gina is to create bad press for Disney, is to create a bad image, is to bleed them dry. Because as I was alluding to a second ago, because Elon is backing this, Disney cannot. Well, this is not going to get settled. This will go to court, because Gina wants to go to court. And I think it's not so much about monetary compensation with Gina. It's not about getting her job back, because I believe Gina is independently wealthy from her family. I believe I remember hearing that in the past. So Gina Carano doesn't necessarily need Disney's money. What she wants is her name cleared, that she is not all the things she's called her, all the things that these crazy stands have called her. We're going to talk about them in a second. She wants a good name, but she also, I think, wants to set precedent for not just people by Disney, but by everybody who was canceled for sharing an opinion. When, at least here in America, it's our right to share our opinion and not be prosecuted for it. Freedom of speech. The Bill of Rights protects us from discrimination for what we say, whether you like it or not. So I think she wants to set precedent. I think she wants to clear a good name. And Elon is happy to provide the money so that this goes to court, and it has to do it. And then, as others have said this week, we get the discovery.
That's going to be the most brilliant aspect of all of this, because what other dirt's going to be uncovered that is in connection to it? Because they're going to have to investigate the DEI policies that they utilize to say you've got to be in the struggle session, which will make them look at other discriminatory policies, and everything would be open in discovery, from Bob Iger's personal communications, Bob Chapek's personal communications. This case is about so much more, and that's why I'm so excited about it. I don't know if she'll win. She has a great case. I do think that. But if we get to discovery, there's 1,000 other lawsuits that could be birthed from that evidence.
That's the key, because discovery, like you just said, will open up emails about their communication about this situation. But we're talking about morons here. We're talking about corporate morons who will talk about this and then talk about something else in the same email, not realizing digital trail. So this could open up a Pandora's box for Disney that they don't want. And
well, even from non-legal standpoint, discovery is going to be very interesting when it comes to some of the creative decisions that they've made, why they've kept Kathleen Kennedy on, what their internal opinions are. Like maybe Bob Iger says, oh yeah, I thought everything Marvel did for the last few years was horrendous, but I had to leave it as the case because of this reason or another. Like even things that they're not legally liable for saying or thinking would be great weapons for us in the cultural war aspect of things, to say, you see, we were right. Just like with the whole J.J. Abrams saying we never had a plan, which people conveniently forget or
I bring it up all the time.
I know, it's great.
They hate it.
But just stuff like that, maybe them saying like, oh yeah, I guess we should make a plan for Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker. Nah, we don't need to do that. Paper trail for that. Like there's many great things that can come out of Discovery. Or Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
There's going to be...
And like you said,
with the shows,
Discovery means content for us. It means wall to wall. Even if you're not into the one thing, there could be something else that you cover. And by you, I mean YouTubers. That you could jump on and say, okay, here we go. It's part of my wheelhouse. This is this and that. And this is going to be a glorious disaster. And it doesn't help when the following day, which is why we say this is content for us, it just happens all on its own. The freaking stands and the shills. We know this little shit, this little fucking twerp comes out there, has the balls to say, casual reminder that Gina was given the opportunity multiple times to retract her hateful, outright ignorant statements and delete her post, not just by Disney and Lucasfilm, but even by Jon Favreau himself. First of all, that is headcanon. There is no evidence that Jon Favreau ever said, Gina, you need to not do this. There's no evidence of that.
He stayed so far out of it.
Yeah, that's the actual truth, like you just said, Jed, is Jon Favreau went and hid in a corner in a dark room, so you didn't see him during this whole situation. He ran away from it, and we called him out on it over and over again. So the fact that this little idiot makes up a fake news story to lob on the top that she didn't and respectfully fired from the show. She was given an opportunity. So, I mean, you guys mentioned her opportunity was to
she wasn't given one.
Well, no, she was. No, her opportunity was the 40-person struggle session. That was her
that's not an opportunity. That's a hostage situation.
Yes. No way. That's insane. And respectfully fired from the show. Yeah, it's always very respectful to wake up one day, look at Twitter and say, Lucasfilm, we hate you. You're evil. Go away now. That's very respectful.
I would have busted into tears. I would have been in tears for that.
Yeah. So reeks of desperation, and this little idiot is just the beginning of. There was as I predicted that day in my video covering it. The next day, the tears, the salt, the cope, the hate begins all over again. They're attacking her. They're framing it as though, oh my God, she saw the Mandalorian Grogu movie, and now she wants a job again at Disney. Desperate, slut, all kinds of stuff. I mean, they say all these things that are horrific.
I don't think she'd actually come back. It's just like you said, it's boilerplate, and it makes a statement where they're like, all right, you can have your job back. And she says, no, thank you. Just wanted you to say I could.
Yeah, just wanted you to admit everything.
I wouldn't blame her.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Exactly.
And they've melted down. And then guys like Data Racer, guys like Master of the TDS, who have completed the research, who have collected all the hate tweets and made the collages that you can see from when it happened, including, again, the likes of Rachel Zegler attacking Gina Carano. They rely on these idiots to push the false narrative, the fake narratives, things like discussing films and Culture Crave to put out their fake posts. And Liam, at one point, Discussing Films says she's attempting to sue. No, she is actually suing them.
Yeah,
there's no attempt.
The papers are in.
Yeah, it's happening. It's been filed. This is real. And for the next year or so, we're gonna follow this. But this was, as I said, this was how the week started for Disney. They had no idea what they were doing, because then this happened. Well, I mean, actually, I'm doing these out of order. Hang on, let me get them back in order here. Excuse me, I have my tabs out of order from when it happened. Then the earnings call happened on Wednesday, and guys like Valiant Renegade and WDW Pro, who dig into this shit, dug up all the juicy nuggets, and we got this one. That once again, Disney Plus lost subscribers. But guys, I thought Disney Plus was going to be profitable in 2025.
Still can't be.
Nope.
Still can't be. Just think about that. The moment you raise the price 1.3 million, leave. I'm not a mathematician, but I know that is a substantial amount of money.
Yep.
A substantial amount of money.
And they tried to give the shit away for free. I mean,
they've been trying to since the beginning.
Yeah, and they for free, and then with the whole $1.99, the $1.99 sale. They can't give the shit away free. They can't sell it at a discount, and they lose subscribers. This is failure. So they have to admit this.
Okay, this is the thing that bothers me.
Yeah.
So they're losing subscribers left and right. Everybody saw that coming. The moment you tell me my price is going up for no reason, I'm out. That's just how people operate. What happened to the Hulu deal?
Oh, Hulu actually gained subscribers, apparently, in all this.
So I'm very confused. If the Hulu deal, which I'm going to assume, because I haven't heard any new information,
they're setting up a payment plan, I think.
Oh,
I don't know. Yeah, that's what
they've got to merge. That's their only chance, because Hulu actually has content people want.
That's what you're saying to me.
I guess so.
Oh,
I mean, the deal was supposed to be restructured last month in December, and then they've been talking about it. We haven't heard much news. Last thing I heard is that they're setting up to make payments or something. I don't know. I'm not like you. I'm not a numbers guy. I only know when they tell me these things.
Let's just say their layaway payment plan goes through. Get rid of Disney Plus.
All right.
Merge it with Hulu.
Well, they've been marketing it that way.
And make a subsection. Just like when it used to be DC Universe. DC Universe had their streaming service that lasts a whole 27 minutes.
Yes.
And then they immediately merged with HBO Max and has a whole DC section.
And it's actually doing well over there.
Yeah. Hello. I mean, Max is the third winner in all of this. It goes and Netflix, Amazon, Max. That's the
it's so much more impressive with Max, considering how new it is compared to Prime and Netflix, and
also
Prime's
bad marketing.
Bad
marketing at HBO. Why? That's the dumbest thing ever.
It's such a bad decision.
Yeah.
But Netflix and Amazon, they came out of it with additional help that Max would never have. Netflix was the first one to the game, so they're always going to be the ones that people remember the most. And Prime has the backing of one of the biggest companies in the world, artificially marketing and pushing it for them. Max didn't have any of that, and it's competing with them. Like I'm very impressed with Max.
Let's be honest, Max has shows and franchises and a library people are interested in.
Except for Last of Us.
Yeah, well, fuck that.
That's
so
personal, Jed.
we got
That's
this.
Personal.
Very personal.
They lost money. They still have to pay for the remaining shares of Hulu that they bought from Comcast Universal. But then they announced this. They're going to spend $1.5 billion with Epic Games, the developer of Fortnite, to make content?
Yes.
Here's my question to this. I mean, Jed, I know they've covered this over at Geeks and Gamers. Here's my first question, though. Where, and Dre, you bring this up with your last comment. Where's this money coming from to make this investment?
I don't know.
If they can't buy Hulu outright for their remaining shares, Where are they getting $1.5 billion? Because they haven't made any money in the theaters. The theme park costs are offset by to maintain the theme parks. The costs are offset by what they make goes right back into the theme park. That's not carrying.
profit.
Yeah, thank you. Their gross from the parks is not covering everything because their net profit from the parks keeps the parks going. It's not like in 2017, 2018, 2019 when the profits from the parks were holding up all this DEI, ESG crap.
I swear they dug up Walt Disney and been selling his bones.
I don't know. So the movies make nothing. Disney Plus makes nothing. They haven't their licensing that they have out for games that doesn't bring in money for them. That makes money for the companies that license it because it's that they're not getting $50 million a pop from the license. That's probably not how it works. So where do they get $1.5 billion to invest in Epic Games to make an all-new online entertainment universe? And you know what? Hang on. I'm sorry. Let me bring up the Niche Gamer article to go with this because they actually show the map in that one of what they want to do. But this doesn't make sense to me. Does it make sense to you guys?
Oh God, no!
Here it is.
The whole reason they're doing this is trying to attract the younger fan base, the younger target audience, and that's what they've said they wanted the whole time. What they keep trying to work for, but the young people, the Gen Zers, still don't pay for any of this.
No,
they don't have the disposable income. You got rid of your consistent older audience for an elusive young audience, and then it failed. Then you got something else to attract the young audience, and it failed. And this is just the next step in that. Oh, the kids like Fortnite. We'll get Fortnite.
I mean, what are they going to make Disney Fortnite?
Basically,
is that what they're going to do?
I mean, you see it right there. They're building games inside of Fortnite, different maps. It looks like
$1.5 billion to Epic Games. What is going to be your return on this? I am very, very confused on what your game plan is.
Oh, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but as you say that, it pops into my head. If they're going to build, you say, what's their return?
Yes.
Well, skins and items, this and that. Well, haven't they already sold many of their most famous likenesses to Fortnite?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is the thing that we talk about with Netflix a lot and just the streaming bubble is licensing made these companies so much money back in the day because it cost them nothing to say, hey, do you want to pay us to use our material? It cost them nothing to do that. Yeah. And so Fortnite, they probably made a lot of money off of Fortnite previously by just saying, yep, you can use our likenesses, do whatever you want, just give us some money for it. Yeah. And now that they're investing it, they're losing all of that. So they should go.
Jed, you hit the nail on the head because I'm like, what is the return here? And like, what happened to Disney Interactive? Whatever happened to that?
Oh, that was a failure.
It was a massive failure.
Here we're gonna release these amiibos. You're gonna attach it. Disney Infinity. Don't you want to play this? And no, nobody wanted to play it.
It just baffles my mind. This is just a bad investment at this point. Epic Games don't need Disney. Let's get that out the way.
No,
they don't need these jokers. Disney needs them. And if I didn't know any better, now I'm not in those boardrooms. I don't know the meetings. I have no idea. But if I didn't know any better, I said Epic Games got together and said, how can we hustle these suckers to give us billions of dollars for no reason? And they came up with a plan to suck these bastards dry of another $1.5 billion. I can almost smell it from here. Because why would they go in business with Disney? No one is going to business with Disney. Everybody's leaving. Everybody. My grandmama's leaving. Everybody's out. And here they come and just take their money. Disney's desperate. Their level of desperation is deep. It's deep. But I'm fascinated in seeing how they're going to burn through this cash. Because
we will come back to this one happens. So this is why I said this is weird. We've talked about that. This is the weird part of this. I don't get this because I don't know what Disney gets out of this. I don't know what to get out because if they've already licensed some of their best things that they own from the IPs they've acquired for the past 20 years to Fortnite.
Yep.
They've already got those likenesses there. I'm sorry. Anybody going to want to play as Mickey Mouse running around these worlds? I don't think so.
Nope.
Anyone who does already has the skin.
Yeah,
Yes,
or
that's what I'm
very.
saying.
So
It's already been done.
This is weird. I mean, right here, the pair plan to create an expansive and open games and entertainment universe, which is connected with Fortnite. But people are just gonna play Fortnite.
I'm confused, and that's why I asked. I'm like, what's going to be the return on this? I don't.
No one's gonna play this. Just look at the map that they have there.
Yeah.
From a strategic standpoint, Fortnite doesn't work in a world like that unless they're individual maps. Those circles.
Unless it's gonna rotate. You know, this week it's this or chapters. I guess something to do with seasons.
Maybe something like that, but that can't be the actual map. If that's the actual map.
ESPN on one of those islands. Is that
Yes.
what I'm saying?
Yes. That's their business section.
Oh my god.
None of this makes sense, and that's why this is weird. And it gets weirder. On Thursday, there was this strange drop from Empire magazine. Tomorrow, 4 p.m. Hello there. Well, that's the famous Obi-Wan line. He says it in A New Hope, and then he says it in Revenge of the Sith. I mean, it's an Obi-Wan quote. Now, you and I, as regular nerds, regular Star Wars fans, we see this and go, this probably means nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
This is going to mean nothing because why would the logical thought for us is why would Empire be putting this out and not Disney if it's going to be promoting a project?
Exactly.
Well, the stands ran away. Oh my God, they're going to announce Obi-Wan season 2 or something else. Oh my God, look at this. They just, for a day, it was, oh my God, what's Empire going to do? What's Empire going to do? It's just the anniversary of the prequel trilogy.
That's it.
That's all it was. And they're
That's
going to
all it was. Adam, I'm telling you, I almost had to go to the emergency room for oxygen on Friday. I was laughing so freaking hard at all these people. Then I started looking at what happened at MegaCon with Ewan McGregor begging for people.
You mean this right here? You mean this right here? You mean please afterwards, after we did this announcement, please Obi-Wan season 2.
I was laughing so hard. I almost died on camera. Yo, that junk was hilarious. I could not believe what I was reading. When I was putting that video together, it took me like 3 hours to put that thing together, man. I almost died twice. I thought it was insane. I'm like, Ewan McGregor, have some respect for yourself. For God's sake.
I know.
Groveling at MegaCon for everybody to write to Disney. Disney ain't taking our letters. Are you crazy?
Yeah, they haven't been listening to fans for years. What would change things now?
Yeah,
I do have to say those Empire covers do look pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is good artwork, man.
Good.
That's good artwork. And it's the prequel trilogy. It's actual Star Wars. So a lot of people get excited over this. But then you get more. Then I got one more saying, wouldn't it be great if when you go to see Phantom Menace, because they're putting Phantom Menace back in the theater.
Nice.
When you go to see that, that you get footage from the Acolyte?
Nope.
And my reply to that was, yeah, that's right. Piss off real Star Wars fans who go to see Phantom Menace who want to relive that moment by stooping in some Disney Star Wars fan fiction that nobody wants. Yeah, that's a real good idea.
I hope they include stuff from the High Republic books. I want to see that rock pilot in live action. Just that slab monster.
Well, that's the final news here. Just yesterday, Acolyte Summer.
Are you gonna watch this, Adam?
Oh, I'm all over this pronoun-ridden piece of shit.
He's already made a blood pact.
Dude, this is ambrosia for me. It's make me godly when I eat this. This is exactly what I need. I mean, I shed on Halo season 2 this week. Nobody cared.
Yeah, that one's dead.
I mean, I'm gonna finish what I started. Maybe it'll make you fun of it. It'll be fun for more people. Maybe as it goes along. But no, this is main event territory, man. We're in the ring. I'm taking off my hood robe. I'm ready. I'm pumped up. I'm ready to go. I want this. I need this.
You got to put in a lot of Weinstein jokes.
Oh,
jeez.
Leslie Headland, too ugly to assault.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Hey, Quarter Black Garrett said it. I'm just quoting the man.
Leslie gives good Headland.
Dude, she never looked at a penis in her life. She gay.
That's also true.
But this agenda pack thing, which all the stands are wetting themselves over. Oh my God, I can't wait. I saw a tweet before the show that actually said, this is going to be the Andor for the Sith Jedi loving people.
That's not good.
They think that's a win. Andor was shit. I'm sorry for those of you who like Andor. It's not Star Wars. It isn't.
Nobody watched that show.
No.
Yeah, who gives a shit?
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like what was the bar is so low. Like, this is gonna be the just think about that. Jed, Adam, we used to compare things to great film. We used to be like, oh, this is gonna be the Empire Strikes Back of this franchise. This is gonna be the Casablanca of fill in the blank. These idiots are saying this is going to be the show that nobody watched ever. This is how good this is going to be.
They think it's a massive win. They think this is something that's gonna reinvigorate. I mean, I had another article here. Hang on, let me switch this one out here. Okay, you don't see my bookmarks. Let me here we go. Let me switch this one to right here. After 6 years of confusion, Star Wars' future is brighter than ever.
6 years?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Aren't we at like 12?
We are at 12 years since they bought it. 10 years since Force Awakens.
Is that it? Force Awakens feels like ancient history now.
Wait, no,
it is.
Was it 2015?
That's it was
2015. Yeah, 2015. Yeah. So, but I mean, we're over a decade into Disney Star Wars, and they're saying, "Oh, it's only been confused for 6 years." No, it's been a disaster for over a decade, and the numbers prove it.
Yep.
Ahsoka, according to Soundbite TV, 863,000 final count of people that watched it over 6 days.
Good Lord.
I can't wait for the Acolyte Samba numbers. That shit don't break 1 million. That shit don't break 500 people. Yeah, that shit don't break 500,000. Nobody's interested in them breaking more lore in their made-up section of Star Wars history called the High Republic. But this is retarded. We'll just read the bullet points real quick. Star Wars found success on Disney Plus with The Mandalorian. Wow. I'm still looking for that success. Where are the numbers?
Season 1 is the only thing we'll give them. It launched the platform.
And this is what I'll say. I like the first season. I enjoyed the second season. But where's the return on investment?
Oh, yeah. Nowhere.
That's the kicker. That's like everybody always forgets that. There's no return on investment.
Well, what were the budget for the individual seasons?
Oh, hundreds of millions.
Hundreds of
millions. The cost of a movie. Of a movie. That's what this shit is.
And there's not a streaming service on the planet that can make back 200 million on a show.
No.
Again, Mandalorian Grogu, they're going to start shooting in a couple of months. The rumors are now. They're going to start shooting real soon.
Pedro's not going to be there, I'm sure.
He's Mr. Fantastic now. It's official. He's Mr. Fantastic. Aren't you excited?
Nobody cares. No. Nobody.
Mandalorian has shown that Star Wars can explore new eras and stories beyond Jedi and Sith. Yeah, it did that in the EU, and it was good there. Now it's middling, piddling bullshit.
Oh yeah.
Lucasfilm gained. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just want to say, it feels like with a lot of this Disney stuff, they're getting in the George R.R. Martin mindset without the talent of George R.R. Martin. They're obsessed with the nihilism, obsessed with the gray morality, and Star Wars is not a universe that needs gray morality. We don't need gray Jedi. We don't need characters who are really struggling with seeing, oh, the Sith, they might be right in this case because the Jedi did a bad thing here. It's not a
war criminals.
Yeah, it's not a morally complicated universe. It's a morally black and white universe, and that's what people love about it.
There is no gray Jedi. That's a bullshit thing created by morons who are goddamn tourists who want it to be something that it isn't. Lucasfilm has gained confidence in announcing upcoming Star Wars movies, signaling more secure future for the franchise. Oh my God. Announcing is all they've ever done for years. That's bullshit.
Yeah, where's the Rian Johnson trilogy? Where's the Benioff and Weiss?
I saw a tweet the other day crying how we ruined the chance. The toxic fans ruined the chance for the Rian Johnson trilogy. It's our fault. it's not happening.
No, it's his fault. He's trash.
Yep.
What are we talking about? Like, I see that kind of stuff pisses me off, because like if I go to a restaurant and the chef brings me a plate of feces and urine,
I knew you were going to say feces.
I knew it too.
I knew.
I've
knew it was
been,
gonna be
that
the
know
word
me
choice.
too well. I've been here too long. You sit there and then you hand it to me, and then I say no, I refuse to eat it, and I send it back. The owner of the restaurant then fires the chef. You then blame the customer?
Yeah. Well, here's
These
the thing.
people aren't well.
Here's the thing. They're not well. And this is when I go. So to put a cap on this, fucked up week for Disney. Not a win at all. And it's only going to get worse. But you bring up, these people are not in their right minds. These people that make these replies are not in their right minds. There is two other small things as we transition to the back half of the show here that boggled my mind this week when it comes to social media responses, people pushing shit. I'm sure you guys saw during the week, for some weird ass reason, the Marvel stands did a campaign for how the Marvels is now suddenly loved, and how we were all gaslighting and lying, and this is especially this idiot right here who claims to be a 15-year-old girl, and after we all trashed her, says, muting this post, you guys are seriously taking the time out of your day to insult, attack, or belittle a 15-year-old girl, and I don't want to waste my time responding to you anymore. Stay bad. No, you're a 25-year-old soy boy pretending to be a 15-year-old girl.
Oh yeah. If she is a 15-year-old girl, her parents are horrible people.
Yes. So,
but if you see, she has an Argyle quote in her bio. That really tells you the target demographic that liked Argyle, the same people who liked the Marvels. And that was a shit line.
So you look at this, and what was with this? Can anybody explain this to me? What is the meaning of this?
So apparently, I think it just been released on Disney Plus. I think that's what just happened.
That would be a catalyst.
Yeah, I think it just got released on Disney Plus, and now the people that did not spend their money to go to the cinema actually saw it, and then they're like, "Oh my god, this is actually really good." My answer is the same. Where were you in November?
Simple.
You
They didn't
claim that
see.
you're a fan. Oh, go ahead, Dragonly. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say they didn't see it, regardless of what they're trying to say. Otherwise, they didn't see the first one. They certainly didn't see the second one, and now they're begging for a third film. And it's like you've not even seen any of them. Tell me one part of the plot without looking up on Google. If you can answer me within 5 minutes, then yeah, you have seen it. But if not, then you obviously haven't seen
the musical number.
And here's the other thing: you're using a GIF taken from the trailer.
Exactly.
That's your devotion to this movie. That's your devotion. You're using the GIF from the trailer. Okay.
And do they have merchandise for it? Do they have even if it's a small amount of people that like it and want to get the merchandise? Do they have merchandise?
Have a Funko Pop and that's it.
Probably not. No.
Now, whether or not this is actually a 15-year-old girl, which I sincerely doubt, this is still shill cope derangement.
Oh yeah.
That they have to even do this to try and pretend and push that it's some sort of thing. It blows my mind. And then something else happened in the same vein this week, and I cherry picked one just because there's so many of them. The Coyote versus Acme thing that went over these past couple of days, where it became revealed. That's a good one, Adam. When it was revealed that I didn't do that. Okay.
Didn't do what?
I'm not going to say it. You just want to bro me with that, like you said you want to do last night. I'm being better. They want to try and equate this to somehow David Zaslav being a bad CEO of Warner Discovery, which in fact he's actually doing a good job. He's saving them money. He's trying to dig them out of the hole that Warner Brothers was in when he took over. I got to ask the question, because that is the center of this. Who gives a single shit about Coyote versus Acme? Anybody?
I didn't even know it existed till this outrage.
I mean, the outrage that it's been shelved and they're trying to sell it for $70 million and let's start a GoFundMe. Let's all buy it ourselves. We deserve to see this movie. This is an outrage. David Zaslav never even watched it, but he canned it, but he loved The Flash. And it doesn't make any sense to me.
Probably might have been better than Space Jam 2.
Anything's better than Space Jam 2. Fuck LeBron James.
Yeah.
I don't understand where this comes from. And all these people suddenly out of nowhere literally fabricating engagement, it looks like to me, to rally around the flag of let's save Coyote versus Acme. This is a movie that deserves to be seen. I don't. What is this? I am literally bent out of shape because I don't understand this. What is this fake? Are these people real?
Who? And this is I'm going to be as straightforward as I can. Who, that's not over the age of 70, is clamoring for Acme cartoons?
Nobody knows what Wile E. Coyote and Acme means anymore. Looney Tunes is
seriously.
a dead IP.
Exactly. Like, this is my dad's cartoons. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Like I enjoy watching Wile E. Coyote and Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck. I enjoy that. I'm not clamoring like I want Bugs Bunny. That's not happening. I don't know who these people are. I think it's the idea of being a contrarian is what's getting these people revved up. Like the idea of this didn't come out. That means I can have a chance to be outraged about something. I really think these people are just that mentally unwell to just be like, oh, David Zaslav, he's the devil. I'm like I think these people are
That's a Batgirl.
They're just insane. Like, do you believe they're canceling Wile E. Coyote? Like, my
yes.
friend, what are you talking about?
Nobody asked for this movie.
Jay was like, "There's a Coyote movie."
Yeah. Nobody asked for Wile E. Coyote versus Acme because we need to dig up a literal 60-year-old Looney Tunes stick that Acme always screws him over and never gives him a good product so he can catch the Roadrunner.
Even though Coyotes is supposed to be faster than Roadrunners, so sorry for the childhood.
I mean, look at this guy. He's just as the one I shared, but 19 years old. Motherfucker, you don't know what Looney Tunes is, you 19-year-old Zoomer. Don't fucking lie to me. Don't fucking lie and pretend you know what this shit is. This is ridiculous.
And most people between most people between mine and my sister's age.
Static would watch it, but I mean, that's because Static's an old man like me, and he knows what this shit is.
And then even though Static would watch it, is he clamoring for Wile E. Coyote?
I would say I think most people between my and my sister's age will probably be quite aware of the Looney Tunes because of Space Jam, original Space Jam, and Looney Tunes Back in Action.
Yeah, but that's like the end of the life of Looney Tunes.
I think the more important thing is how expensive this thing is. So there are reports that I saw today that they're trying to shop around the rights to it. They might sell it to someone else, and they're currently selling it for $70 million. Yeah. What was the production cost on this thing? A Wile E. Coyote got a very, just like you're talking about, is a very, very narrow target audience. So the budget for an old-fashioned animated film like this
it's real-world animation. He's like sitting in court as the animated Wile E. Coyote in live action.
It's Space
Jam. It's Space Jam.
Okay, it's Space Jam. Well, that's still an old style that is way cheaper than doing it in the style of, I don't know, the Lion King or Sonic or whatever.
Agreed.
And doing it in the
CGI,
cartoon. Doing it in cartoon versus CGI. It should not cost that much. And that's why I think it's probably a good thing that David is doing this. It's a waste of money. But with the small target audience, it was never going to make money. So,
yeah. There is no market for this.
Absolutely.
Was it going to be a Max original or was it going to theatrical?
Theatrical. I think they were going to
Oh,
dump this because
absolutely not.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
oh,
So this,
they'll cost hundreds of millions.
so
Oh,
it's
Let me
this.
look it up.
This is what we're
Goodness
talking about, though. This is the delusion, the craziness that we deal with, and sometimes you saw it broke me for a second. Not because I'm angry, because I don't understand. I am baffled by retards who pretend this is something. This is why we need to gatekeep. This is why we need to gatekeep. This is why we need to make sure that why we have to ask you, okay, you're such a big fan of Wile E. Coyote. Talk to me about the old school cartoons.
You definitely want John Cena as the one name in the film.
It's ridiculous. So that's where all
Here's
this
probably
stuff's
most of the budget.
probably
all of it.
I mean, now he's announced he's done with wrestling pretty much. He's on his way out completely. He's going to retire and pursue his acting career, if you want to even call it that. I don't want to honestly have to deal with these retards anymore, but we will cover them because it's a light upon either the fake shills, these bots, either whether they're actual bots or people who we call bots who do this shit, or those who are just brain dead Disney hive mind stands. I mean, I'm saying Disney just because it's the example. I mean, because we showed the example with the MCU and that person wanting the Marvels, and that person spammed Twitter. That fake 15-year-old girl, they spammed Twitter. It wasn't just that post; there were multiples done to create fake interaction, and of course, get us all. Hey, it worked. We were triggered. We replied. I told this person, "Who the hell do you think you are? You can go get fucked in both mouse ears. I don't care." All right, let's move on. I have no clean transition, so we're just gonna move on. All right, we're gonna talk some gaming now. We're all gamers here, various levels, very expense. We all play. We're all. Some of us go back farther than others. Dre and I.
Some of us played Pong when it first came out.
I did not play Pong.
Bought it for grandchildren.
I did not play Pong. But here's this: whether you doesn't matter where you fall in terms of Sony guy, Xbox guy, Nintendo guy, PC Master Race. It doesn't matter. But we're not talking PC today. We're talking consoles. Microsoft is fucked. They have lost repeatedly for years. I mean, some will say that the 360 won its particular chapter of this console war, and that's a whole nother debate whether or not because I've heard the debate of the real gamers were on the 360. Well, you classify real gaming as people who just play shooters, FPSs, because I don't classify that, because that's all the Xbox 360 had.
It's a very biased.
When it I've always been. I don't.
The Xbox is the king of the FPS. I would say.
But
that's about it.
Yeah, but and say that real gamers did that. So real gaming is when you're in lobbies and then in multiplayer FPSs, teabagging people after you beat them. I don't like to say that because that's not my genre. There are many other genres, so I don't like to. But in terms of engagement, sure, the 360 won that because the 360 era were a lot of major FPSs that won the day. Halos, Gears of War, a lot of stuff, and Call of Duty, and all that kind of stuff. But it dropped the ball because, let's be honest, the 360 was a buggy as hell machine.
Oh yeah.
I never had one, so I don't know.
I knew people who had it.
It was before my time.
Red Ring of Death. I mean,
a couple of them.
Yeah, I was a Sony guy, so I went the PS3 route, and my PS3 is the same PS3 that's still in my closet. Runs like a fucking horse, makes a ton of fucking noise, but it still runs if I want to power it up. It's fine. What is Microsoft going to do now? Because here's the definitive evidence. We're leaving Nintendo out of this discussion because Nintendo is its own thing.
Yeah.
PS5 has outsold Xbox Series X 1 on your 2, 3, and the 4 and the 5, 2-1.
Well, more than anything else, I think this can be explained by their exclusives.
Mm-hmm.
You get way more value out of a PS5, way more diversity of content out of a PS5. I don't have either of these consoles. I am a PC master race, but I would buy a PS5 long before I did an Xbox because of that diversity. With Xbox, what do you get in Starfield? Well, you can get that on PC. What do you get in Halo Infinite? You can get that on PC.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really get any sort of exclusivity, which is a good marketable tool.
Yes, and I still buy these things on Steam.
On Steam. But when it comes to PlayStation, I could rattle off a list of 10 top selling video games of their years that are all PlayStation exclusives, which they might eventually come out on PC like God of War.
Yeah.
But it's incomparable the amount of quality content that PlayStation gives, and that's not even bringing into account the quality of the console itself. Like you said, with the 360 was very buggy. We're not even bringing into the quality of the actual hardware. Just the software that's available is insurmountably different with the
and I don't, and I know that they've done things with the Series X where you can mod it and run old stuff, but it's not enough because, as I've heard it detailed many times in these discussions, Xbox marketed poorly with this round.
I mean, how many people even know that there was a switchover from X to S? That's too similar in just the way you say it. So normies aren't going to be able to even notice the difference.
I mean, PS5, they're coming out PS5 Slim Boy. That's what we know, and that's all you need to know. And now there's a lot of controversy over the PS5 Slim Boy in terms of detachable, that. I'm not even, that's not the point, because obviously I already got my PS5. I'm not getting another one, and this one's running fine. I treat it well. I don't abuse it. I don't leave it on sleep mode. Do not put your PS5s on sleep mode. You will kill it. Just turn it off. Just turn it off.
Good to know.
Grump told me about that early on, and a lot of news came out. That's why a lot of people killed their PS5s, because they left it on sleep mode and it burns some shit out. So when if you're not doing anything like I am right now, just turn it off. Leave it alone. Because I use it. It's a multimedia thing for me. I use it as a background. I have images. I use it as my Blu-ray DVD player. Occasionally I'll use it for some interactions with people I know who are on my friends list. I mean, that's how it is. And it's, of course, my gaming console, my primary one. So this is it. Sony's beaten Microsoft again, because I think it's fair to say PS4 beat Xbox One.
Yeah.
It beat it.
I agree with
beat it hands down.
Yeah, I agree.
And some could say Nintendo beat both of them with the Switch, which it's fair discussion. But we're not talking Nintendo. And Nintendo is its own entity. You can't really compare Nintendo to this fight right here. You can't.
Yeah. They're in a category of their own by themselves.
But here's the bottom line on this. With this news and the rumors out there that Microsoft is going to not even put out a console for the next generation, if they go the way, as Dre pointed out before, Sega, how does that play out if it's just Sony and Nintendo?
So for those of us that are old enough to remember that beautiful transition, there was a many of studios that were tied up into the Sega brand that ended up transferring over to Nintendo, like Rare, Incognito. There's a bunch of them that end up making that transition. So when Sega, and my favorite game system of all time, my Dreamcast, which still works by the way, they finally got themselves out of the console war because they bit off too much more than they can chew, and they realized how much money there was in software. And Sega has made an umpteen billions amounts of money because of that transition and not making the risk of investing in hardware. Now Microsoft is a completely different entity at this point. So I think if they say, okay, we're done with making any more hardware, the Series X is the last one we make, and now we're just going to focus on our software, I think they can do very, very, very well selling off all of their, there's no exclusives really, but making those games available that was just going to be Microsoft for PlayStation. I think they can make an absolutely,
think about it like this.
You bring a liquid amount of money.
the last couple years when they went on the buying spree, when they bought Bethesda, so that they could try and put a stranglehold on Fallout, a stranglehold on Skyrim.
No, that worked out well.
Yeah, and everybody was saying
Cool.
this isn't going to be good because the whole world deserves Skyrim, or sorry, Elder Scrolls. Sorry, I mean Elder Scrolls, not Skyrim.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying. And either way, like Jet said, it would still be available on Steam. It wouldn't be exclusive. We could still get it on Steam if we really wanted it. It felt like a self-defeating purpose.
Exactly.
The way they did this. Because there is, as Jed pointed out, there is no exclusivity when it comes to an Xbox game.
That's correct.
It's always going to be available for PC.
Yep.
I agree with Dre. It would be smart to just give up making a console. It's just, there's no money in it for them. If they're losing money and they've purchased all these IPs, all these franchises, and they are money makers.
Yeah.
Just make games. And maybe if you're not spending all the time on the console, make somebody like Bethesda actually put out a game that isn't broken as fuck.
Well,
when it launches.
Now, Adam, now you're asking for too much. You were that close. Your arrogance. How dare you?
Oh, no. You understand what I'm saying.
What you're saying is perfect.
Yeah.
You're saying is perfect because they can buy up every studio if they wanted to. Literally, they can buy up every studio if they wanted to. But they bought ZeniMax, which is the parent company of Bethesda, Arcane, a bunch of other ones. A whole bunch of them are under that umbrella that now Microsoft owns.
Yep.
Just start producing games for all these different consoles and don't have to worry about putting in the money for hardware or whatever the case may be. You're making buku cash. And especially now you don't have to worry about anything being exclusive. We're trying to be like, oh, for this specific hardware, you're going to be backstroking in gold coin Scrooge McDuck style.
Your costs go down. Your overhead shrinks. And as long as you get out of the goddamn pronoun game, get out of the goddamn DEI game, and just because if you're Microsoft, you're making these games, you're not localizing it from Japan, which we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
You are making these games in-house, and as long as you aren't pandering to the morons who are not actually gamers, who are all the fucking game journos and these freaking non-gamer pronoun-wielding shitbags, you can make games that we all want to buy and all want to play. It's just that simple. So I think, reading the tea leaves, I think the Xbox Series X, whatever hell it's called now, I think this is the last Xbox. Because
it should be.
I mean, now we're not going to get, with the exception of the rumors of a Switch 2 in this year, we're not getting another console upgrade for at least another 2 or 3 years, because the PS5, thanks to now the COVID era shortages finally being done, the PS5 continues to pick up steam in terms of sales.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I've had mine for a year now, and I like it. I'm happy with it. I don't want to have to suddenly worry about in another year the PS6, which I don't think there's not even rumblings of that.
And I don't think, and Adam, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I don't think we're going to be getting next gen consoles for at least another 5 years. In my
30.
Opinion.
I don't think we get it till maybe 29, 30. That's when we're going to hear.
I agree with that because remember the rollout of Series X and PS5?
Mm-hmm.
Literally, people just really started getting PS5s last year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me. I'm
and Series X's last year. The overall majority of the public who still had Xbox Ones and PS4s for the majority of last year until they finally got new stock and actually people started buying it. Mm-hmm. So I think that our next cycle, probably 2029, 2030, I think that would be more feasible. Mm-hmm. If that, because it used to be every 8 years, if my memory serves me correct. I think it was every 8 years. Every 8 years?
I don't, wait,
no. I'm sorry. Every 6 years. It used to be every 6 years.
Yeah.
Every 6 years. You'd be every 6 years. And then this cycle was really, really long.
This cycle is an anomaly because of the chip shortages.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and that was 1994, PS1, 2000, PS2, 2006. Yep. 2006. Yep. Absolutely. Yep. I'm there.
Yeah. I'm there. Yeah. You were gonna say something, Jed?
Oh yeah, but Microsoft has so many different options to expand, not just in licensing out their games that they manufacture to the PlayStation side of things. They can reinvest that money that they did into researching and manufacturing the Xboxes into making better PC units, specifically gaming units, because they own a large portion of that market as well. And they just have so many different avenues. Similar to Sony, is there's countless options where it's clearly their consoles aren't selling as well, so you redistribute that money into a way that can be more beneficial for them.
And I welcome the shrinking market in terms of what's there, because I personally am sick and tired of Xbox bros and Sony bros bitching at each other all the time. Because as Dre knows, these motherfuckers, they weren't there when the real console war happened between Nintendo and Sega. They weren't there.
Oh Lord,
that was
what a
the real
glorious time that was, Adam. What a
that was the real deal.
glorious
And listen, I was neutral territory. I had all systems in my house. I had it all because I had
See,
I had a
me,
generous mom. I had a generous mom.
I lucky bastard. See, I grew up in a Sega household, so
Well,
I
bought my Genesis. I bought that with my own money, and then I had a generous mom who said, "Here's a Super Nintendo." So I was lucky.
Yeah,
and
yeah. But during that time period, it actually made sense, and I'm glad you brought that up, Adam, because there was legitimate console exclusivity. It was legit. If you want to play Sonic, guess what you got to get?
Yeah, these were cartridges.
Yeah,
these games were made to be specific for each one because each one was different. 16-bit Genesis was completely different than 16-bit SNES.
Yep,
they ran differently. They played differently. They look differently when you play these games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got my Mega Drive right behind me. It's a second-hand one, but 30 years later, nearly 30 years later, it still plays wonderfully.
My original Genesis, my original actual first generation Genesis, plugged into my second gen Sega CD, is in my closet still. And I bet if I plugged it in, it would still work because it just sits there. It sits there, doesn't do anything.
My original Genesis Mega Drive got jacked up by my uncle's pillow that had magnets in it, and I cried.
No!
I cried.
No! Why did you wait? Why did your uncle's pillow have?
Don't ask questions, Adam.
All right, so but we brought up this question in terms of exclusivity.
I just gotta. I just had to add. Y'all are speaking, like Chinese to me. My first console that I bought was Wii U.
Oh,
that's not even a console.
Yeah,
that's not even a. Nintendo fans would say, "What was that?" We don't want to bring that up.
That's
nothing you don't talk about.
It's not the first one I ever played on, but the first one I own.
My mom got me my normal Wii for my 18th because she wanted me to celebrate my 18th. So she wanted me to have a memorable 18th birthday. So that was their excuse.
Jed mentioned console exclusivity, which is I'm going to use that as a transition to our final topic today, which is I want to have a real discussion on this one now. So, shut up. So we've got times where these games appear on Steam after they've been on something like PlayStation for a long time. Said the list. You got Spider-Man, you got God of War, and Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy games, Square Enix takes a long time to do it, but they do have a history of putting out their Final Fantasy games onto PC because they stopped doing it for multi-console. After Final Fantasy 12, or maybe it was 13, Square Enix made an exclusivity deal with Sony and basically PC ports eventually. That's changing, which we can then allude to the fact that where Xbox is now beta testing Final Fantasy 14 after a decade. They're finally beta testing Final Fantasy 14 for Xbox. But I want to talk about Final Fantasy here because when the exclusivity goes out to the broader market, people get their chance to play it. And old school fans who maybe don't have a PlayStation 5 get to play games like Final Fantasy VII Remake. We were talking about it yesterday on Dermy's stream. It's actually been 4 years in April since Final Fantasy VII Remake launched. I bought it that same year, but I didn't play it for another year simply because I wasn't in the mood and I was scared that it was going to be shit. Not because I was afraid that they were going to tell a whole new story, because I was perfectly aware they were going to tell a whole new story. The marketing that I saw made it perfectly clear to me this was not a one-to-one adaptation. It was not simply as what I define as a remaster. I'm going to ask you guys this specifically. I mean, Dre, you're the one I really want to hear from first, because I want to see if you and I define certain things the same way. Final Fantasy Rebirth launches in 2 weeks. I'm hoping to get it. I need a little more money, again, but that's a me problem. We're hearing a lot of stuff coming out from it. Now, the Final Fantasy VII Remake 1 created a how do I put this? A division in Final Fantasy VII fan base. Those who feel they were lied to, bait and switched even with Remake, saying we thought we were going to get the original game just upgraded for modern times in terms of visuals and
That's not what Remake means, though.
Okay, all right, you're leapfrogging, but you're already playing into what I believe. They thought that, and then there were others who see Remake and no, you're not getting the original game. First, let me ask you this, and Jed, since you just said it, when you hear remake, what is your definition of remake?
Well, who did you say?
You.
Did you? Oh, okay, good. Yeah, definition of remake is trying to rebuild the original product and, recreate it. So a great example of an actual remake, even though it's a terrible, terrible film, is the live action Lion King. That is a remake. It's not a reboot.
Mhm.
It's not a remaster, which I think is a more accurate term if people want the same game. But yeah. No, and people confuse all these titles. Like everyone that I know, there's tons of people I know who think that New Who is a reboot of Classic Who. That would not constitute a reboot. That's just a continuation.
Yeah.
It's a reimagining maybe, but it's still a continuation. But yeah, remake is you're trying to stay close to the original product, rebuild it, but there's going to be some major changes.
It's a completely different thing that will adhere to the same elements and same characters, whether it's a movie, a game, or a TV show, but it's going to be a completely new thing. It's not this, as you said, remaster, because I have the same definition. A remaster is going to be the same thing. It's just going to look prettier, and maybe they'll change gameplay and game mechanics to match modern style. Dre, you're nodding away. Do you define these things the same way?
Pretty much spot on. So how I usually do remaster is a fresh new coat of paint. So I just to give some simple things. VHS version, Blu-ray version. That is a remaster, and that's how I equate a lot of things. When I say I want a remaster, that's what I want. I want the same thing I had before with all the upgraded new bells and whistles. That's how I like to look at it. I put remake and reboot, they're like kissing cousins. To me. So
it's dangerously interchangeable because people don't clearly define them, and I'm going to address that in a second after we ask Dragon Leads. Go ahead.
So a remake is pretty much exactly as Jed kind of broke down. Like, hey, this is going to be a retelling, a reimagining.
Perfect way to put it.
And then reboot is Ghostbusters 2016.
Exactly.
Not adhering to anything that came before.
Yeah. Anything that came before, this is just, hey, I took a stick of dynamite, I stuck it up somebody's booty hole, and I'm just blowing this thing clean up. All right. And so we're pretty much, I think we're all on the same page.
Yeah.
With how we all view that, because everybody intertwines all three of these.
And that's dangerous. And I'm going to go with that in a second. Dragon Lady, do you have anything to add? Are you on the same page we are into definition, or do you look at it a different way?
Pretty much, yeah. Remake, I would say, is scene by scene shot of the original, such as the Spyro Reignited trilogy on the Switch and the PlayStation 4. I have it on the Switch, and it's basically what you had on the original PlayStation, but with newer graphics, newer character designs.
Perfect. I want to now
Reboot is just a reset, basically.
Okay, great. So on this panel here in our discussion, we are all on the same page. And it kind of makes it interesting because in my past 2 discussions on this that I've had this week, it was on Static Show on Thursday and on Friday on Ballbusters. People, depending on your generation of gaming, apparently have different definitions of, as you said, remake and reboot and remaster. A lot of people of around Jed's age who saw remake on Final Fantasy VII thought that it just is a remaster. It's the same game. And because they don't come from an era that Dre and I come from, where we would see original games. And here was my example, the Lunar franchise that started on the Sega CD, migrated to the Sega Saturn, and eventually on the PS1 and PS2, because the PS2 was backwards compatible. The original Lunar the Silver Star and original Lunar Eternal Blue were remade to Lunar Silver Star Story, or eventually Silver Star Story Complete and Eternal Blue Remix, which eventually was on the Saturn and the PlayStation 1/2 because backwards compatible. Both are the same story, but Silver Star Story Complete and Eternal Blue Remix, a little less for Eternal Blue Remix because it's only playing off a little bit of the changes in Silver Star Story Complete. It is a literal remake. It hits a lot of the same beats, but they change pivotal and key moments. It's its own retelling of the story. Therefore, if you go back to the 30 years ago when I was playing this shit, and then 10 years after that, 25 years ago when the remakes come out, the readaptations, that defines perfectly a remake. And they are both legitimate, and everybody knew it was going to be different back then. But maybe it's a problem with marketing that they fail in the marketing, at least making it clear enough. But it was clear then. Or right now, everybody who is a fan of Tomb Raider, we look at Melanie Mack as an example of that, are happy dancing because the remaster of the Tomb Raider trilogy is just that. It's just improved, a lot of new bells and whistles, but they made no changes. It is straight shot.
That franchise is a great example too, because they had the reboot trilogy that came earlier. And I don't agree that reboots are always a terrible thing, like Dynamite of the Ass. These days they are, but I would say that Magnificent Seven would count as a reboot of the Seven Samurai.
Yes. So here's the thing. Let's bring it back to Final Fantasy VII Remake. There's a lot of division because some people are just simply angry that they changed the game and they feel they were lied to. And then there's those of us like me who really enjoyed the game, who knew what we were getting into, and we're just afraid it was going to be shit. But then we're pleasantly surprised that it was fun. Rebirth is in a couple of weeks. And we've had some news recently about changes made. And here's where for the last 20 minutes, I want to focus on this topic now. What do you define as a red flag for change? And what is mainly maybe not necessarily a red flag, but a silly change, but not bad? Here's one of the changes.
For a modern audience.
Or
we're getting into that, but let me give the example.
That's the freaking kiss of death.
Last week, it was started on Niche Gamer, and then it ran across all the different things. And we'll bring up the next article in a second, which is to make my point. In original Final Fantasy VII, when you're flashing back, or at some point, I forget when exactly, you go into Tifa's room and you go rifling through her stuff because back in the day they let you go through do silly things. You pull out her orthopedic panties, and it was a useless item putting inventory, and she catches you with it if you did it and yells at you.
That's funny.
It's funny, but that's the original game.
Laughing.
Now in the remake, the same scene is there. You go rifling through her stuff, but you don't actually get the panties item. You don't put it in your inventory, but the event is still the same, and she yells at you when she catches you. They apparently took the item.
That's nothing.
It's nothing, but there are some people out there screaming that this is a red flag. They're going to change. It's just a sign of things to come. They're going to change so much. It's going to be horrible. And then you have Niche Gamer, who we give Niche Gamer credit. They ran with it with a clickbait title, but then they broke it down that it's only not getting the item. But then you have Bounding Into Comics, who runs with it and is gaslighting people that censorship is coming. beware, be
Mhm.
afraid. And a lot of people, and I've asked for other examples, and nobody can seem to give me other examples of changes coming in Rebirth outside the fact that everybody's afraid Aerith is going to die at the end of the game, because this is part 2 of 3, where in the original game, Sephiroth kills Aerith, and you then go into the breakdown. Everything breaks down for the third act. And now, if they kill her or not, I don't know. I don't think they're going to not kill her, because they have to kill her. It doesn't make sense if they don't kill her. There's a lot of confusion now. Is this time travel? Is it multiverse? But that's just theories. We don't have the game yet.
Yeah.
But when you see this and you hear the fact that they've taken away Sid's cigar and this and that, we spent 2 weeks talking about Avatar red flags. We've talked about other red flags. Is there a difference?
Oh, there's an entire difference. This, from what I understand, isn't a clear-cut important aspect to the story, whereas Ozai being an abusive father is very important to the story in Avatar. Those are very key differences. And I think another great example of the same thing that you're talking about happening right now with remake people taking a sexual change out of proportion in a way that I disagree with is the Witcher 1 remake. In The Witcher 1, they're changing things that the studio said was outright bad. Now, that isn't CD Projekt Red. It's a third-party studio that's gotten the rights to do it for CD Projekt Red.
Yeah.
And everyone's been freaking out about downright bad portions and assuming that they're talking about the sex cards that you can collect. When you have sex with a woman in the original Witcher 1, you got this provocative baseball trading card.
I missed 2. I was very angry that I missed 2 back in the day.
It's funny. It's weird. I don't think it's that big of a deal if they take it out, though, and go for more of the traditional sex scene from The Witcher 3. But there's a legitimate argument with Witcher 1 when it comes to downright bad parts of it, especially the combat. The combat is horrendous. It aged poorly.
It was not. You had to click on the body with the thing. I hated it.
It was so weird. You can't do it with a controller. You can't. And
no.
It was weird. So there is a legitimate conversation to say this should be remade, not remastered. There's enough changes that need to be made. I think that's a very clear-cut comparison here, is people freaking out with remake.
And that's the thing. When you got Bounding in the comics crying Sky's Falling, and they add this one on here that they they obfuscate what the man actually said here when the producer talks about he was a bit embarrassed of the original stuff he did in the original version of Final Fantasy VII. He only talked about he views things differently, not from a social aspect, but it felt childish the way he did it, having Barrett's curses blotted out, having Tifa call Cloud a retard, and this and that. He says, I can do it better, and nowadays we can do it cleaner, and we're going to see in a little bit. That's
what every writer does, is saying little stuff like that, not about being progressive. I've looked back at some of my old stuff
I said
and
the same thing
cringed so hard.
Same thing on Friday about my own writing. And so when you see these, and I'm not throwing shade at those who are arguing with me on Ballbusters Friday night. It was a clean argument. It was a civil argument we had. Nobody was yelling, screaming. No names were being called. It was civil argument. Everybody had merit. I mean, I'll give credit. Gal and Devil had merit when they say we should pay attention to every little change because it must be cataloged, because it could be used later as a door through things which can walk to break apart what we love. But the example Cloud on Ballbusters is freaking out of this. Now, he was one of the people that felt he was bamboozled for Final Fantasy Remake.
Well, I mean, that's what you get, a simp of blabs. I mean, you're already starting out at a terrible position.
In all seriousness, and Cloud is very emotional, very angry at this stuff, and he's not going to buy Rebirth. He did play Remake. He hated it, and that's his opinion. He's allowed to have. No one's telling him to buy Rebirth. But he feels that these red flags mean that they're going to eventually do something where maybe make Tifa black. That was his example that he used to try and trigger me, and I said, dude, shut up. I just said, dude, don't do that to me. Don't do that. But Dre, are these legitimate red flags, or is this meaningless? And should we be freaking out or going, eh?
So this is where my stance is on this. I'm a little bit of middle of the road here. This is more like a construction signs to me. They're construction signs. They're orange. They're construction signs. And for me, because people are freaking out because modern gaming has set a precedent of destroying beloved IPs.
Put a pin
They've
in that.
set,
We'll come back to that definitely.
yeah, yeah. They've set a tone for it's gonna be modern. It's not gonna be the same. When we clamor for what was old, we clamor for nostalgia and all that other great stuff and things that, in our personal feelings, was perfect the way it was.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you see like but on the other side, yes, is this an extremely minor change that does not affect the story whatsoever? Absolutely correct. But I can see how people can look at this and say this is just the beginning of bad things to come. I can see that.
You bring up the perfect point that I've been alluding to all week. We are all, for lack of a better term, we all have PTSD over the ship. We're all hypersensitive.
That's fair.
Yes.
We all massively hypersensitive. Every little thing and all we see, and a lot of us get set off. And here is the fear. And I mentioned this earlier, and I will. The pendulum is swinging back because it was held artificially for 3 years in place by by a section of society that wants massive change to things, to, as Dre put it, to be modernized with agenda bullshit. And now they've lost their grip because they couldn't hold on to it. It's swinging back to where we want it to be, kind of right here, but it's going to go even farther. And here comes the overcorrection. And this is what I fear, because they want to overcorrect and have everything be so progressively different that it destroys the core of everything. What I fear now is that because we're all hypersensitive and having a reaction like this saying, this game, Final Fantasy VII Remake into Rebirth, it's horrible, changing it. Well, they already were changing it in FF7 Remake. Of course, Rebirth is going to have massive changes because they've already established that. But as it swings back here, now, are we going to hold it in place where it becomes unchanging and static? And that's my fear, because sometimes, as Jed said before, sometimes you can reboot something and make it better. Sometimes something can have a change, one thing that improves it, makes it more fun, makes it more interesting. I personally would not have simply bought a one-for-one remaster of Final Fantasy VII because I played the hell out of that as a kid.
That's fair.
And I don't want to just replay it. The fact that Remake is giving us something fresh, it captures my attention, it captures my imagination, and it captures my interest that I want to see what's going to develop from these changes. And excuse me, I need a drink.
Yeah. Well, while you do it sounds like the original creators are involved from that quote we read a moment ago. So that's a good sign.
I mean, yeah, the original creators having a hand in their own work is always a beautiful thing, because they don't want to see it be butchered.
That's why we're afraid of Avatar, because the original creators walked.
That is correct.
Avatar just looks so much worse and worse with everything somebody says. The trailer's
day.
Great, but
and that's why we give One Piece live action a pass, because Oda kept the characters intact even though he changed the story. And that's what Final Fantasy Remake has done.
Yeah.
The characters are all still intact, but the story is changing slightly. In some ways, maybe more than slightly, as we're about to see in Rebirth. So if you hold the pendulum back on our side now, that's my fear. That people are going to be, you can't change anything. Everything must be the same, and that's going to stifle creativity, because we will live long enough to become those we fought against.
Yeah,
our extreme is no better than their extreme.
We must,
and that's my fear. The pendulum must be allowed to go like this, slightly back and forth to each side, where it's not one more influence than the other, allowing for room to breathe and not ruin things.
Well, but Adam, you have to remember as well, me and you, we come from an era in which there actually was balance. There was the free love people, and at the same time, we had the just say no people on the other side.
Yeah,
we had that thing where it's like, there is a back and forth, there is a discourse, there is no side has the whole thing. We don't live in that time anymore.
No, unfortunately, we live in extremes.
And the unfortunate part about it, and what you're saying is absolutely correct. If the pendulum swings in our favor and we hold on to it, yes, does that stifle creativity? 110%. And do that's something I want? No. But at the same time, if we let it go, is it swinging back to the psychopath?
And that's our thing, though. I believe we have to police ourselves to keep it to police ourselves and continue to do what we do and call shit out to keep it swinging in the middle slightly to each side where the world finds balance. And we just continue to grow and not be Chicken Little, sky is falling, world is ending with, oh no, they changed a joke slightly. The event is still there, but you don't get to keep her panties in here. And not scream, I hate this because it's different. That is a direct result of the hypersensitivity. And I don't fault anybody for that. I don't fault Cloud. I don't fault others for being angry because they've been damaged and other shit may be going on in their lives that doesn't allow them to heal any sort of way or find a balance. I have found a balance. Being on YouTube, doing this shit, taking breaks, shifting things around, running this show, I find a balance where I'm able to not lose my shit and have a meltdown. And I'm doing this segment today to follow up. I've been talking all week about this as a warning. Be careful, guys. Do not let the overcorrection make us them, except the opposite version, which doesn't help at all either.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a hypocrite. I don't want to be a hypocrite who calls out red flags and then says, this isn't a red flag. I think these are stupid, silly changes.
Agreed.
But at the same time, I don't feel like it ruins the story. The story that's being told so far doesn't change anything. And frankly, going back to when I was a teenager when this was made, I wasn't losing my shit going over holding her panties. Because to me, as a gamer who wants the best gear, a useless item in my inventory pisses me off.
Yep.
And I mean, now if I put the panties on Tifa and it gave her increased attack and agility, well then, hey, great, yeah, then I want those panties back.
Yep.
Well, frankly, I want Tifa out of her panties. But,
well, of course.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Well, a similar thing actually happened in The Witcher 3, but it was an accident. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's a point in the game where you can get the key to Yennefer's bedroom, and it's a common item, and everyone memed the shit out of it. It's like, oh yeah, everyone has a key to Yennefer's room, that whore. And there were so many memes from it, and it was just a worthless piece of the game. Like, it was an accident that in the next gen update they changed the item to be a rare item instead of a common one, and that made the joke so much better.
she's an expensive whore now.
She's an expensive whore. Now you got to pay extra for the unicorn.
Yeah, and chat, I hope you guys are understanding that we are not demonizing people who are hypersensitive still and who are angry about this stuff, but also when it comes to being angry about changes to Final Fantasy VII Remake, there sometimes bias is playing a role here, just like bias will play a role in me when it comes to Disney Star Wars, but I acknowledge it.
Yeah,
I acknowledge my bias, and I will accept none of it is good because I'm going to say it's all trash. And therefore I think I avoid my hypocrisy. But I think a lot of people who are trying to say that Rebirth is going to be a disaster, it's going to change everything, it's going to destroy Final Fantasy VII, it's already a different game because of Remake. Rebirth is already going to be different. Whatever they title the third part is going to be different. The events have changed. All you got to do is get to the end of Remake. In the final battle in Remake, you're fighting a shadow of Sephiroth. You don't. That doesn't happen in the original, but it's an epic fight where your entire party, not just who's locked into your party, is doing a fight, and they're doing it to One Wing Angel from Advent Children, which is a badass soundtrack. It makes it really fun to fight. So,
if there's substantial changes, it's a remake, and you got to expect that.
And I think that is the moment of disconnect from a lot of people because, and I found this going over the conversation 2 days in a row from Ball Busters and then last night on Dermy Stream, some of the same participants in that discussion. It's a disconnect because people define things differently. Back to the first part of this conversation. Some people think remake is just remaster. That's what they think. For these people around your age, Jed, that's what they think. They don't understand.
The example you've got to give to them is The Last of Us. The original Last of Us was remastered for PS4, and that I think is an incredible remaster. That's the version of the game I play. That's incredible. And then last year they remade it as The Last of Us Part 1, changed things from the ground up, modified the story, accidentally gave Joel blackface as a glitch.
Whoops.
And they substantially changed the game. So that was a remake.
Yeah. I think the problem is also all the Resident Evil remakes have muddied the waters because those are not remakes. They're essentially remasters
Yeah.
with very slight changes that don't necessarily change the story. Change somebody's outfit, not letting somebody look up somebody's look a skirt. That's not remake.
Yeah.
That's just modernizing it in the bad way, not taking part of the sexuality fun of it. And that's the problem, because a lot of people will say, "Oh, Resident Evil 4 remake was just they titled the remake,
those
but
are
it wasn't a remake.
foreign made, aren't they? So it could be a translation
Then there's
issue.
the other thing. You just and we gotta finish up because we're at 2 hours, and I gotta get over to Engage. But you bring up another point. This game is made for a Japanese audience first.
I was about to mention localizers as well.
Yeah, I mean the localizer discussion, that's a different discussion, and we just to tail it off, the fact that Square Enix is changing how they're doing localizing. They cut off their Western divisions after Forspoken and the Avengers and the Guardians of the Galaxy games were disasters and lost them millions upon millions
That studio
of dollars.
is dead.
They sold it. They got rid of it, and then the studio got closed by the people who bought it. And now Square Enix, a lot of people who are running the idea that Square Enix games are going to be terrible because of their ethics department. No, they shut down that ethics department. It got shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've been countered with, well, those people are maybe still there in other departments doing stuff, but the ethics department isn't there. And there's always going to be people who are of the agenda in everything. They have infiltrated Japan. Japan is not free of this cancer. They're there, both politically and culturally and business. But in the end, Japan's nature so far to want to make money is overriding that, because Square Enix in the next couple of weeks, as they stated it about a week or so ago, they're about to announce a restructuring of how they're focusing on their content going forward, making games, how they're going to make games. They understand that they fucked up. They've had losses in Final Fantasy 14. They've lost money this year. Subs are down. Revenue is down. They want to change it. Now, that's also in terms of the fact that Final Fantasy 14 just ended their major storyline for the past decade. They just ended it. And they're starting a new one with the new expansion this summer. That's one thing. People are not buying it because, okay, I finished the story. I don't need to play this now for a while. I'm unsubbing. That's a thing that factored in there. But Square Enix, along with a lot of other Japanese gaming companies and anime companies, manga companies, they realize that the wokeness is not just a funding thing. It's a disease, and it's costing them money. And they're getting wise to it. And so rightfully so. So final thoughts on this, Jed.
We just need to worry about definitions. That's something that we've talked about a lot with the woke people, is they redefine things to fit their argument. So clarity in semantics is essential. Making sure everyone's operating under the real definition, and I think that's where a lot of this confusion is derived from. But we can't take things too far. We can't overreact as much as it's reasonable to in the current day and age. Always be skeptical, always with modern stuff. But from what I've heard, that those aren't changes that I would see as red flags whatsoever in that. And it applies to a lot of different stuff, like the Witcher 1 remake. I still have hope for the Witcher 1 remake. Still skeptical as hell, but those red flags that everyone else was freaking out about.
They haven't earned your goodwill at this point because of CG Projekt Red's recent behavior.
Yes, absolutely. And this is a different studio, though. This isn't CD Projekt Red doing it. And I hope it's good, because I want a good Witcher 1. Witcher 1 has not aged well. Still love the story, but gameplay-wise, graphics-wise, it was a new studio making a PC game on a hairstring budget. I don't blame them for it being bad, but it is a great opportunity to remake it. It is the prime candidate. It is a prime candidate. And when it comes to gaming, great potential, low budget when it came out. We can fix that now. So, I don't know. We just need to be clear with definitions before we can have any sort of argument with anyone.
Yeah. Dre.
Yeah, I pretty much same sentiments as Jed. Language is important, and we really have to understand how to use these words properly, because if not, this is where the confusion, and we don't have a strong enough discourse to actually have a back and forth with anybody. When it comes to the situation with Final Fantasy VII, look, I sympathize with everybody in this situation. I sympathize with those that have the overreaction. I sympathize with those that have the underreaction, because we've been jaded and beaten and drug across the coals for many, many years now by these studios. and just one iota of something that smells like woke nonsense makes everybody lose their minds. So my heart goes out to everybody, especially Cloud. Shout out to you. That's heartbroken by the idea that this could potentially go bad.
Mhm.
I get it and I understand, but we also have to make sure that we understand grace. We have to make sure that we understand that, and that we have to give things the proper chance in this regard because of all the people that are still involved, the creative team, the original creators, and all that great stuff. So, but yeah, but first and foremost, language is important. We got to get that stuff locked down.
Yeah, Dragon Lady.
If you're on about the localizations, I don't understand why they keep trying to change stuff for Western audiences. I mean, a good example that I posted in the other day was that meme about Brock claiming that he had a jelly-filled donut in his hand, and in reality, that was not a jelly-filled donut, because even as a kid, I knew that was not a jelly-filled donut, but I still don't know what it was until many years later that he was holding. So I don't understand why they keep making tiny little changes like that. And I get that they were trying to appeal to a Western audience. But
That's a different discussion.
Yeah.
The localizer thing, that's a discussion that has been being had, but we don't have time for that one. But yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. It's all right. As
Good,
for myself,
perfect.
I've said my piece multiple times now. What we have here is, as I said, hypersensitivity, and I don't fault the people being hypersensitive. I am also hypersensitive, but I'm trying to find a balance on it.
It was just a tiny little thing that's not going to change the story dramatically, such as character design, fine, fair enough. But if you're going to change the story, then...
Well, the story's already been changed, because that goes back to the whole thing, definition.
Yeah.
And when things are, and some people will say, well, that's a definition now, but then it's the wrong definition, because we have historical evidence, and we've listed a lot of examples of what is reboot versus remaster versus remake. These things are clearly defined, and just because you thought one thing was defined one way and you felt like you were lied to, that while you are legitimate in your feelings about wanting it to be a certain way, it's not necessarily a bad thing that it ended up being the way it was. Because yes, was perhaps the marketing of Final Fantasy VII Remake bad in some cases? Yes. Some people said they didn't know. I say, and a lot of people like me who did know said, well, they made it clear it was only going to take place in Midgard. It was not going to be the full game. Some people thought it was going to be the full game. They didn't know it was just going to take place in Midgard. I knew it was going to be Midgard.
Then that would be a fail of the marketing, and not necessarily of the game
That's
itself.
A marketing fail, and at the same time, when there were plenty of articles that were available at the time, not hiding it, that's also a failure of people who didn't do their research, or if they were trying not to be spoiled, weren't careful enough to just go for the things that weren't spoiler laden. And so, it boils down to understanding what these things are, and not misconstruing them or misunderstanding them for what you think they are. And it could be a generational thing. It could be a lack of knowledge thing. But don't hate something because it's different. Hate it if it's different and bad. And by my opinion, a lot of other people who played it, Final Fantasy VII Remake was good. Engaging story with what it changes. The characters are all still the same. The gameplay mechanics were fantastic. It looked beautiful. It was fun. And I got a good 56 hours out of it. And I'm ready for Rebirth, which is set to be 3 times as long because it's the open world now. And a lot of stuff to do. And a lot of interesting changes are going to be made in terms of characters than that. And I'm looking forward to it. And I hope you guys will look forward to me playing it on my gaming channel. And with that said, we're done. A little overtime, but we're fine. Jed, what you got going on this week?
Well, I actually have a couple very, very exciting projects coming up in the next week and couple weeks. One is a collaboration with Adam for a lore video in preparation for Dune. Gonna get those details out as soon as I start making the actual video. Just got the script finalized, so we'll be delving into that. And another project which should be coming out in the next couple days, if I can get it, is going to be very exciting. I actually have to talk to these two afterwards to see if they're willing to participate, but Prey 2 has been announced, and I have about 15 to 20 people who are willing to help me with a small idea I have, as well as some costuming for this film, for the video. But if we all remember some controversy I was mired in when the original one came out, I am.
Fire.
Oh, you have no idea. You have no idea. But look forward to that in the next couple days. A Prey 2 video. It's gonna be short and more for comedic sense than news. But I'm gonna look ridiculous in it, and a lot of other people are gonna get so much hate for helping me with this.
Well, as long as we know what's going on, and yes, look forward to Jed's Dune video, which I wrote the script for it. So I hope you guys enjoy it when it's done. Dre, what you got? Oh, yeah, Dre, what's going on? Sorry, I'm out of order.
No.
Go.
So no,
It's my brain. I'm thinking ahead. Sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, this week, regular videos, we'll see what's going on in the streets, what's going on in the comic book industry. For those that are new in the chat, hey, follow me on Twitter at TheBrood00 and check out my YouTube channel, Brood Playing Comics. Drop videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. This week I don't have any interviews being dropped this week, but I'm pretty sure I got a couple coming up because spring is coming. Con season will be upon us soon, so a lot of good stuff on the upswing.
All right, Dragon Lady.
Yeah, I'll just be posting in maybe a couple of Sims videos, maybe one or two, probably one. And that might be it, really. Just a quiet week.
Yeah, well, quiet's not bad. Quiet is relaxing. As for myself, in a few minutes, I'm beaming over to Engage. You can stay right here on this channel. Hop on over to Engage. Join myself, Ryan, Samuel, Anna, Devil, Alf, and a Wesley or two for some more Star Trek goodness. We get weird. We get fun. We have a good time over there. Then later tonight, for those of you who are not watching Super Bowl, I may stream something on my gaming channel, Renaissance Nerd Arcade. Link in the description below, along with everybody else's links. Follow me over there. I may start doing a private replay of Final Fantasy VII Remake for that on hard mode, just to post each chapter as I play through it, because I kind of want to get ready. And then I will be doing a live stream of the Yuffie DLC before I play Rebirth, because I haven't played that yet. Got it on sale last year, or in 2022. I got it on Black Friday sale for $10, marked down from 20. So I have to play that, get that ready. But I want to be familiar. I want to be fresh. I want to have the controls. I don't want to go into Rebirth not remembering how to play the goddamn game. So I want to get that. I want to play a little bit. Watching Dermy play last night made me think, God damn it, I actually want to play this right now. So I might do that. Monday, 9 p.m. Eastern, Mellow Mondays. We start off the week with our nerdness, and we have a good time there. Wednesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, Natural 20. Sometimes 8. Might be 8 again this week. Might be 8 for a while because I have to go out and do stuff Wednesday afternoons for a little while. It's when I have a window to do shit, so I go do it then. But join me. I get pissed and rant about something. You never know. Then gaming streams throughout the week on my gaming channel. Every Thursday for the next 7 weeks, you can catch my reviews of Halo Season 2, and it's garbage. Just help me out here. Watch it. It's shit already. They learn nothing. Watch my review from this week. It's there for episodes 1 and 2. Friday, I'm back on Ballbusters every week, 11 p.m. Eastern. And Saturday Night Driving is back. Jed, what are we watching for next week?
We will be watching the superhero film that started as a Hollywood phenomenon genre. We will be watching the 1978 classic Richard Donner's Superman.
Christopher Reeve.
Director's cut?
No, Wrecking Rage. We're not doing Donner cut because we're
that's
doing
for
one.
2.
We're doing
that's
one.
for Superman 2.
Donner cut's only Superman 2. So
yeah, we'll do the Donner cut. We have to start with the first one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because Jay hasn't seen it.
I haven't.
Did you finish watching it?
I didn't. No.
Okay,
I've seen the first 45 minutes of it, and that's it.
Yeah. And if you want to enjoy our discussion from Saturday Night Driving yesterday, Memoirs of a Geisha, it's still live. It'll be coming down, but it will be re-uploaded tomorrow. You can enjoy that one. We had a good time with that. It's art. It was art. It's beautiful. Anyway, and then we'll be right back here next Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for more roundtable goodness. Who knows what will happen next week? We never know. We just hope and pray we can talk to you about it. So thank you, and all chat. For those of you who I didn't say hi to, hail and howdy. I love each and every one of you. I saw everybody there. I just can't interrupt the discussion for that kind of thing. Thank you all. Hit that like button. Subscribe to everybody below. Help us grow. Make this to be 2020 our year where we get big and meaty and strong, because we're growing cheaper. All right, guys. Thanks, everybody. Take it easy. Have a good night or day wherever you meet, and enjoy your Super Bowl if you're ready for it.